can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another weekend in some hockey town. With a pucked up parents, frozen toes, big hearts, bad luck. With a pucked up parents, one more tourney, one more puck. We're broke, we're loud, we love this grind. Cause our kid just scored and we lost our minds.
Oh, here we are. We're back. Episode 2. Welcome to Pucked Up Parents with Angela and Michael. We appreciate everybody listening to the first episode where as we fill our way through all of this. Angela, where are we at? Let's talk about maybe briefly what we talked about last week and talk about something new this week.
All right. So, welcome back. We are non traditional hockey parents. We come from the great state of Kentucky, which is not exactly a hockey hotbed, but our oldest son fell into playing the sport, and we've been learning our way through for the last 12 years or so. So, what we wanted to do was share some of the knowledge that we've learned over the last decade plus as hockey parents with maybe some new hockey parents out there. And, for the rest of you guys who've been playing hockey your entire lives, you can laugh along with us at our fumbles through this sport and through what we're doing.
Yeah, you make a
S-
great point about Kentucky. So let's rewind a little bit back to when we were kids. There was no NHL teams around us. Nashville Predators didn't exist. Even the Columbus Blue Jackets didn't exist. I think St. Louis existed, and you and I both lived near Louisville, Kentucky, which did have a couple of minor league teams that really were like grand opening, grand closing, and that was our exposure to hockey. So when our we relocated to Cincinnati as a married couple with no kids, and a rink just happened to be down the road. And after we had our first son, Sam, at 5 years old, we took him to a skating, just a night to skate,
Public skate.
public
Public
skate.
skate.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
So even,
Yes.
even the public skate for me was something new because I had only ever been skating once, and that was on a high school date in Louisville, and I was terrible then, and I was terrible at the skate with Sam, who was our only child at the time at age 5.
Yeah. So, anyways, we've had to fumble our way through this, but over the last few years, we've learned a few things along the way. We've had a lot of laughs. We've seen some amazing things, been to some amazing places, and just want to share that with all of you. And would also love to hear your feedback. And if you've got any crazy stories or any situations you want to share with us, feel free to reach out to us on our social media pages, email, whatever. We'll take that.
So we're coming out of the weekend right now, and that's the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Which, if you are in hockey like us, you know that hockey doesn't care about your holidays, despite it being Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, granted, Thanksgiving was on a Thursday. We still had games. We have 2 kids. One's 11, one is 17, and only the 17-year-old had games. He was in a tournament, and he played, 4 games over the weekend up at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Now, Angela, we're not gonna dwell on Sam, playing up there, but just some quick observations about this weekend, stuff that kinda stood out to you. What do you got anything that stood out? 'Cause I've got a couple of
Well,
things if we don't touch on the same thing.
yeah, no, I think, just the usual, there's certain parents, certain groups kind of get together. There's always some animosity between the teams. And actually, this weekend in a different division, our son had some former teammates that were playing in a different division. So we got to watch some of the players that we used to play with. So that was a lot of fun. Saw some interesting thing, couple of penalties that we
Yeah,
don't normally see.
two things stood out to me, and we had this conversation on the way home. So number one, a close dear friend of ours and a close whose child is a close dear friend of our son, he got thrown out of a game. He was shoved near the net with a stick, and he turned around and retaliated. Mind you, he retaliated against the wrong person by taking a stick and using it as a weapon. And if you don't know hockey rules, that is an absolute no-no. Your stick is not a weapon. You can't slash somebody across the face and think you're gonna get away with it. So,
Yeah, teenage boys.
teenage boys, hormones. What now
Yeah,
remind me,
no excuses, but, yeah, that was a tough penalty.
what exactly okay, so what was the fall of all of that? Like, just summarize it.
So yeah, so basically after that, he was tossed from the game and was not able to return to the tournament at all.
We had a
I'm not
10-minute
sure. Yeah, 10-minute
penalty?
major that we played 4-on-5, so we were on a penalty kill for 10 minutes, and he didn't get to play the rest of the tournament. I'm not sure what the rest of the results of that will be. I guess we'll
Right.
find that out next week.
Okay, and the
But
the other the other thing I had that was really weird that I'd never seen, I don't think you've ever seen it, I don't think our kids have ever seen it. A stick got stuck in a skate, not the blade of the stick, it was all the way halfway down the stick that was in his and it torqued the kid so much he injured his ankle, right?
Yeah, he twisted his ankle a little bit, so that was a little different for us. I've seen some crazy things, those videos you see, the reels on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, where you see some crazy things happen, particularly in the NHL. But I've never seen a stick get all the way into a skate, literally where half of the stick was on one side of the skate and the other half of the stick was on the other side of the skate. That was pretty wild.
Yeah,
So
that was pretty wild.
definitely some new things. But I guess let's carry on with our kind of normal topics of, what the puck am I doing?
Yeah,
So
let's take this
last,
journey. Where we at?
yeah,
Where we at in our
last
journey? Last week we
episode,
did what? We did equipment
yeah, we
or the
talked a little bit
uniform.
about equipment, but let's talk a little bit more in depth about how we ended up with hockey players in our house.
Good point.
So you mentioned earlier we had taken our oldest on a just a regular public skate. Hey, you want to try this kind of thing? That led to us signing him up for skating lessons.
That's true.
Which about 2 lessons in, there was a college hockey team at the rink that day. I guess they played later that day. That group of college guys went out on the ice with these little kids who were learning to skate, threw some pucks down and put their sticks in the kid's hands. And quite honestly, he hasn't put a stick down since.
Yeah, so you could
Um,
see the progression of, for us, for especially us with no background, we didn't intend on any of this at all. But you could see as we were doing skating lessons and stuff like that, you could see the parents who knew what they were doing. You saw the parents out there with the NHL gear on. When Sam started out, he was using the rental skates with the toe pick. We talked about that last week, not the hockey skates, but you could see kids out there that were Sam's age at the time. He was 5 already in the hockey skates. Sam hadn't made that transition yet, but it seems like it's the same path whether you're a hockey player or not a hockey background or no hockey background, in that you start out by just doing a skate, then you do the
yeah.
skating lessons, which, you gotta learn to fall and get back up, you gotta learn to skate backwards, but, once that happened and we got introduced to the sport of hockey, then we started, the ins is it was it instructional or was it free hockey?
And
Remind me what that
instructional
was.
program, yeah, I think we went to the instructional hockey program, which is essentially like a learn to play. But I know several of our other fellow teammates and first time hockey parents got hooked on the USA Hockey's Play Hockey for Free
Yeah.
session. So I think the USA Hockey partners with a lot of the different associations across the country to host, I think it's twice a year in the fall and in the spring, a try hockey for free day where they have, some time set up where kids get to gear up in that rental gear and go out and try hockey for the first time. Which then, at least for us and for others that we know, led to signing up for more of that instructional program or learn to play, which really sucked us in. And that's how we really got started, was in those learn to play lessons or
Yeah, and
yeah, lessons and skates.
I've seen on the Facebook pages, and we do have a Facebook page out there, Pucked Up Parents, but a lot of parents are talking about their kids getting started, and they don't have the equipment, they don't have the gear. Uh, don't shy away from that because a lot of these rinks, and we've done it ourselves, have donated gear, slightly used gear that these kids can use and learn to play in. So don't get discouraged thinking, I'd love for my kid to play, but I don't have a helmet or pads or even skates. They loan them out to you to learn how to play hockey. So, but yes, to your point, USA Hockey does a huge, a promotion of hockey's for everybody, hockey's free, and it's in the fall and spring, typically around September, March timeframes that they do it, and it's heavily promoted by USA Hockey. And it's funny because it's come full circle. The instructional hockey, is what Sam started out as, And now as a, senior in high school, he's assisting our rink with their instructional program, t to help, the younger kids the way he was helped.
Yeah, it's a great community, and I think that's the biggest part of it, at least for us as the parents, having that great community, having people willing to help you out, to tell you, "Hey, that's not how you put on those elbow pads, you got that upside down," or, "Oh, don't forget the socks, the hockey socks so they don't slide around on that hard plastic," or, "Hey, reminder, you gotta sharpen those skates every once in a while."
Yeah, and
We talked a little bit about that last week
my
too,
big thing
so
and my biggest concern, I remember coming in aside from, you have to sharpen the skates. I learned that 2 or 3 weeks in, was tying the skates. That was a huge thing, and I had another parent show we actually had a parent on Sam's early team, they called him Mr. Ryan's dad. Mr. Ryan's dad, family, if you're listening, Mr. Ryan's dad was the expert at tying skates, and I would always watch him because I didn't know, when you put a skate on, there's like a, extra foot or 2 of string or of shoelace. Do you wrap it around the ankles? Do you double knot it? What do you do? So, that was
yeah.
something that was a learning curve for me. And sadly, as they get older and they learn to tie it themselves, that kind of goes away, which it's bittersweet at the end.
Yeah, for sure, bittersweet on that. I can remember, not wanting to tie skates anymore, and then all of a sudden, "Oh, I'm never gonna tie hockey skates again."
It's funny, we're
Um,
talking about us right now. We're going through the whole senior pictures and the senior pictures of hockey. Like I'm like, would it be lame if I did a senior picture of me tying his skate? But I would sort of feel like, the story of
yeah,
Jesus when he
yeah,
gets
that
his
would be
feet
lame.
washed. Like, am I humbling myself
Yeah,
or is it
no,
super
that's
lame or
weird. Don't do
our
that,
son would never
please.
let me? Okay, okay, it's weird.
Your
Thank
your
you.
son's not gonna let you do that. Let's not do that. Anyways, well, let's move on a little bit, and kind of one of our other segments, we like to talk about rinks and road trips, and as a new hockey parent, you're at the rink. You start hearing what other parents are yelling on the sidelines,
Oh
cheering for
God.
their kids and whatnot. There's all kinds of terms we've learned over the
Ah,
years
you can tell by my
that
exhaust. I'm exhausted by this, but go ahead.
yeah, so, instead of, you got a kid playing baseball, you tell him, run to first base faster or whatever. Well, it's a little different with hockey. They're skating. So I think the number one thing you hear yelled, especially with the younger kids, is skate. Somebody's always yelling
Skate.
skate.
Yeah.
And which essentially translates to you want your kid to skate faster, I think.
Yeah,
And I
it's
just
and
find
it's
it
sort of true. Like,
humorous that that's what you're gonna yell.
so it's sort of like, and our kids both play. Our kids play baseball. Both kids play baseball. But you would get a kid out there and they would hit the ball and they would barely run. It's no different in ice hockey. You see them like in the public skate or even in the practices skating their excuse my language skating their asses off. But then they get to a game and they're just kind of puttering along. I don't know if it's nerves or what, but yeah, the parents are bloody murder yelling skate, skate faster,
Yeah.
skate, and you hear that and then you
Yeah.
also hear early on, not so much later on down the road, but get up. Because
Yes.
kids are
Yeah.
especially at the mite age, which is age, what, 8 to 10 or
8
something
U.
like that?
8 no, it's 8 and
8U.
under.
Kids are falling a lot, and parents are just screaming, "Get up, get up." What else do we hear at the rink other than,
The
like,
other
annoying
one,
parents?
especially with the young ones, is 2 hands. So 2 hands.
2 hands on the stick,
2 2 hands on the stick.
2 hands on the stick,
Yeah, 2
and
hands on the
stick on the
stick.
ice.
Yeah, stick on the
A
ice is
lot of
another one.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, and that even as we watched this weekend, you saw that these kids would, like, hold the stick slightly off the ice, and the puck would just slide by, and you're like, "Just keep it down. What's it's not dragging you down that much. Put it on the ice." That's the
Yeah,
old phrase, and that's how we're supposed to show.
wait,
Keep your stick
but
on the
we
ice.
say that, and neither one of us can barely even skate with a stick or
Like,
without a stick,
damn
so,
it, I'm an armchair hockey dad, and I'll say what I want.
yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to think of some other things that we hear. Oh, feet is another one. So you'll hear people yell feet really loud. And so that tends to happen when the puck is at the player's feet. And I guess it's hard to see at your feet when you're wearing all that equipment, especially when they're little.
Yeah.
To look down and find the puck that's, tangled up in skates right below you.
So another good one that we hear a lot, and especially it's when kids transition when you go from mite to squirt, you go from half ice and mite to squirt, which are playing full ice, and you're going to hear this a lot: boards, boards. What does boards
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
What do you mean by
Yeah.
boards? And what we mean by boards is, Angela, I'll let you explain it because you were always the proponent. I've got videos of you screaming at our kids, boards. Explain.
Yeah, well, especially when you're in the defensive zone, so you're trying to get the puck down the ice to the other end to your offensive zone. It's best to do that along the boards, so the walls on the side of the rink.
Yeah,
Use
basically,
those to your advantage.
right, because 9 times out of 10 when a kid, especially a younger kid or hell, even high school kids, hit the puck on the ice, somebody intercepts it, somebody grabs it. But if you sling that thing up the boards all the way up to, like, almost the glass, and heck, there's times it goes out of the glass, it's gone up in the rafters, it's hit the scoreboard, but you're making it unreachable by the other offensive side and just clearing it out. So boards is a huge one.
Well, and that's other point that, we like to still point out to this day is you don't pass in front of your own net.
Oh, yeah, that's a big thing
That's
in that's
another
a big thing in
that's
mics and
another
sports. Don't
yeah, that's
pass in front of
another
the net.
yeah, another big reason to use the boards is you don't wanna pass in front of your net because that pass could get intercepted by, that other team
How
and
many times have we seen that?
take an easy shot. We've seen that a lot. We've seen that a lot. So, trying to think, we I think at some point I'm gonna have to bring in some of our fellow hockey parents and go through some of the other sayings that we have.
Well,
Um,
you guys have some weird sayings, and there's also so
right.
these are like the standards. So think of it the
Yeah,
run of
yeah,
the
yeah.
mill, the basic standard,
Yeah.
what you hear at the rink. Now off that is just wild stuff people say. You know, you got your sayings that you guys have, like the goalie's not a donut versus a parent who is screaming bloody murder or ringing a cowbell. So there's the very
Oh, yeah.
the what you hear at the rink runs the gamut of annoying to hilarious, and in the middle, you have your basics, which is skate, boards, etcetera.
Right, and then you have your parents that just scream and you can't even really understand what they're saying, but there's lots of oohs and all of the crazy, just sounds where they're really, kind of living through where that puck's going.
Yeah. What about the nah, we'll get in that later. I was gonna say there was that one parent that was yelling like, "Do" it sounded like "do." "Do,
Oh, yeah.
do" don't say where they're from. "Do," and
Yeah.
you and I were, like, just exasperated about how much this person was screaming this, and it was through 2 games to the point that I went out to my car, got my earbuds, and turned on I think I turned on, like, a Green Day album just to drown
Yeah.
her out.
Yeah, well, I think there you can get that whether it's somebody screaming the same thing over and over and over again almost inaudibly, or you get the cowbell or, a couple weeks ago, there was a guy with one of those air horns.
Oh god, they like
Um,
a
yeah, like,
yeah,
so at the NHL game when they score and they kinda have the air horn,
yeah.
this guy had one in the stands. Um,
You know, it and it
and
it here's the thing, and maybe this is a transition, but when it's the parents from your team doing it, it's like, "Yeah, yeah, look, that's just Jim down there, ha, he's got his air horn." When it's the
right,
opposing team,
right.
F that guy. Turn
Well,
the crap off. Get outta
and
here.
And sometimes it's, one of the situations where, how bad do I want my kid's team to win depends on how annoying the other parents
It's
are.
true.
So if the other parents are really annoying, I wanna win that much more kinda thing.
So let's talk about, as I pointed out about the parents, when your kid makes a team, you kinda adopt the parents some of the parents as friends.
Yeah.
You almost I don't wanna say you immediately know, but you kinda know who fits in your niche and your category. Now for you and I, we s and no disrespect to anybody out there, but we've kind of fit more in with the parents of Sam's team, maybe because we're older parents and we've been around hockey, whereas St. Henry's team's kind of a bunch of younger parents, great people, mind you, but, we're still kind of feeling our I feel like we're still kind of feeling our way around there, but overall, this is the family you're gonna roll with for, 3, 4, 5, upwards of, maybe even 12 or, 12 years. And you're not only gonna spend time at the rink, you're gonna spend time in different cities, Chicago, Buffalo, away
Yeah, all
more
those
than you s
long weekends.
yeah,
Yeah,
like, I
you
spend
spend
more
a
time
lot
with,
of
like
time. Yeah.
with Shauna and Leslie, your friends, than I do with my own parents. So,
Right, right.
you fall
Well,
into this niche and you have the team chats. It's your family almost, essentially, your hockey family.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you'll hear that across a lot of different organizations, and you talk about hockey family, and we've, actually, we talked about this a little earlier. Some of the teams that were in, another division at the tournament we were at this weekend were some kids that, used to be on another team we were on, and so it's always great to go back and visit with those families, maybe that you haven't seen in a little while and what have you. So it's a lot of fun. I think everybody, for the most part, hockey parents are super supportive of each other, of the kids. You may get some people who get a little hot and heated during some games, but I think at their core, everybody means well, and want all the kids to do well, and I think that's kind of the core of hockey, and the parents, especially. We've been very, very lucky with all the parents that we've been around, with just great groups of parents. But getting to know all of those parents on a new team, if you're just starting out, or your kid switches teams or whatever, sometimes trying to find your way through that is a little different. Um, the other thing I want to bring up in that is remembering the kids' names and numbers
Okay,
too.
yeah. So branching off the parents part of it. That's where you're like, when you meet somebody, it's like, hey, I'll use you as an example. You're Angela, okay? Now who's your kid?
Yeah,
Sam Mauser's my kid. Okay, what number is he? Number 2. So, that's a game I almost play still to this day of which kid belongs to this person, and I gotta tell you, I'm more surprised when the kids come out of the locker room because I see them without their equipment, without their helmets. I never see their faces, and I'm like, "Oh, that's their kid? He
yeah,
now
that's what he looks like
that's what he
because
looks
you don't
like,
ever
and
see him without his helmet on.
that's what
Yeah,
those 2 produced him? They don't look nothing alike." I don't know. But yes, remembering the names and the numbers, and I know some of the teams we've been on used to hand out cards, am I mistaken? Or
yeah, we've had some team manager moms that would make, like, almost little business cards that have the list of the numbers and all the kids' names next to the number, and then if you flip it over on the other side, it was the kid's number and the parents' names, so that was always really helpful, especially when we came into some new teams.
Well, you
Um
and I uniquely have a problem right now, and, we love Sam's team, our oldest son, our senior son. Their away jerseys are black, and the letters and the numbers on the back are black on red, but you cannot read the names on the back of the jerseys from the glass, from the benches. But, I mean, luckily, we've been on with the team long enough that we know players by their cadence and how they look. But if, like, my mom watches on a live feed, she can't tell anybody except for her own grandson because you can't read the names on the back of them. I can't imagine
Yeah.
what some of these teams go through that don't have names on the back of the jerseys at all.
Right. Well, and I'll say that kinda leads me to the next thing I was gonna talk about is you kinda learn what and how kids skate.
Yeah.
So there are certain kids that have, like, just a certain style, the way they skate. We were watching a former teammate this week, and I'm like, "Oh, he still has that little hiccup as he gets up and going skating." I don't know what it is, it's just his style. He's been doing it since he was, like, I don't know, 10 years old, and he's 17 now. And then some of them you can pick out by size. The smaller kid, oh, okay, that's, these 2 are about the same size. Then is it like, hey, is that, Joe or Fred? You can't tell which is which because they're about the same size. But then you start picking up, oh, okay, this one holds his stick that way, or this one's left-handed, or that one has, green laces or whatever. You find these little different characteristics about the kids so you can kind of start learning them and learning how they skate to the point where now if I watch that live stream, I can almost pick out who's who by how they skate.
Well, the funny thing is, like, with our oldest, for the longest time, you and I held out, we kept him in a white helmet. The whole team had black
Yeah.
helmets, and we kept him in a white helmet for that reason, just so we could pick him out on a live feed or even at a game easily for our parents and to watch. And we got called out on that. Finally, one year, the coach was like, "He's
Yeah.
gotta wear a black helmet."
Well, and let's go back to, like, the mite age, so that 8U age, they all wore different kinda helmets, and they all had different stickers and things on their helmets. There was
Yeah.
one kid that had, like, a pink sticker on his helmet for the longest
You're
time.
basically
Somebody
flagging
else
your kid
had
like he's a
Yeah.
dolphin that you tag with a dart to track him on the ice.
Right. It was almost a tracking device. But yeah, there were a lot of different ways. And then, kind of to go back to that like might and learn to play age group too, they usually take a piece of that hockey tape and put it across the front of their helmets with the kid's name on
Oh,
them
yeah.
so that the coaches on the ice know who's who. Cuz like you said, even for the coaches when they're all, teeny tiny wearing giant equipment, you can't really see their faces very well. So you got to know who you're talking to.
Yeah,
So they put their names on the front of their helmets.
and real quick, you talk about their skating cadence, and somebody on our Facebook, again, Pucked Up Parents on Facebook, also on Instagram, they had mentioned, maybe it wasn't on our forum, I think it might have been on another forum. They said, "My kid is learning to skate right now, and they're kicking off with one leg," and they put a video up, and I'm like, "Yeah, they're kinda doing that." I go, and they were concerned about the kid's ability to learn and to progress, and I replied, I was like, "This is just them learning. They're gonna get out of that." I've not ever been at a high school hockey game where the kid's continually skating off one leg, so your kid will develop at their own pace. Sometimes they plateau, sometimes they, exceed, but, the skating, it's become so natural years down the road out of learn to skate that you can tell by the way they skate who they are, and trust me, they're not doing basic stuff like kicking off with one leg or pizza and french frying, if you know the, South Park reference.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's, all about time on the ice. The more time on the ice they have, the more used to it they get and the more natural it becomes. Our kids when they first learned to skate, loved to skate, couldn't stop very well. They were
Yeah.
like little bowling balls.
It
They
reminded
go
me,
really
remember Mighty
fast
Ducks
and
Remember Mighty Ducks 2, the one skater, I think it was Benny the Jet from Sandlot, he played that part,
yeah,
and he was a hell of a player, but he couldn't stop. We had that same
stop. Yeah.
problem.
Right, and they all eventually figure it out and or, find their own way to do things and, just time on the ice, time whether it's at practice or public skate
Or
or
those kids
the
become goalies.
not
Sorry,
to
goalie
disparage
parents.
any of our goalies, we love
I'm
our
totally not.
goalies.
That's a whole nother podcast of the
Yeah,
stress and my god, craziness of a goalie parent and a goalie. I don't know how they do it, but yeah.
yeah, that we'll have some special guest appearances on some goalie talks, so we'll get to that, but I just as usual you find those that group of parents or that group of kids that you hang with, you guys come up with your own real little weird rules and rituals. I know we have kind of both of our kids have their own little rules and rituals that they have developed with their teammates and their
Yeah,
friends and whatnot, and we just have so much fun with the chaos of it all. You can't go in expecting things are gonna go, ABC 1, 2, 3. You just gotta be ready to roll with whatever comes your way, for the day. And that's what we wanna share with you guys, and that's why we wanted to do this podcast is just, share some of our experiences, things we've learned over the years. We want to hear from you guys as well. If you have questions or comments,
topics.
or
Bring
you've
some
got a
topics.
wild story, or you've got some good topics that you want us to cover and kind of get our perspective on it, or the perspective from our region, our area, kind of what we've had to experience over the years, let us know. We appreciate everybody listening. We're trying to get this out to lots of our friends and family and expand this through some new and different hockey organizations. So please follow us, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your confused hockey parents, anybody that's new or anybody that just wants to laugh at us and make laugh at our expense of us trying to figure out this world.
I agree, and we have, so many topics to discuss, like, later on podcasts from traveling, hotel madness, road trips, places to even eat in the hockey cities that we visited, and we wanna hear, your suggestions as well. There's so much out there, and we barely scratched the ice surface, so to speak. So, Angela, I think we can close this episode out. Do you have anything else you wanna add?
No, I just want to remind everybody, please, follow us, subscribe, share. We want to get this out. We're going to keep building it. We plan to try to get an episode out each week. Hope you join us again.
Yep, and like I always say, keep your stick on the ice. We're all in this together. Have a good day.
can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around.